Hi, I'm Assistant Professor Aditi Mathur, International Schools of Business Management, Suresh Ganviya University, Jaipur. And in today's video lecture, we'll be understanding supply. So before we begin with our today's important topic, let us just recall that flow chart which we studied in our lecture 1, that is that individuals or the households, we provide the factors of production to the firms or intermediary bodies or the companies to manufacture the goods and services, right? So that provision of the factors of production. So what are the factors of production? A quick recap: that are your land, labor, capital, entrepreneurship. So these all, resources, the inputs which we need so that we can produce the goods and services, these are provided by the individuals to the firms to produce goods and services. So this transfer, right, the provision is known as supply. So that means individual supplies factors of production to intermediaries or the firms. So law of supply is actually an inverse law of demand, right? So when we say that when the prices increases, supply also increases, and when the prices decreases, supply or the quantity supply decreases. So before we understand the law of supply, let me just tell you one thing, that this law of supply is always understood from the point of view of the manufacturers or the suppliers. So let us just first assume ourselves as the businessmen or the suppliers or owner of a shop, right? And now understand the law of supply. So definitely when the prices of my product, right, it will be high, I will like to sell more and more. That means I will like to sell or to supply more in the market. Why so? Because I know the more sell will be equal to more of my profit. So that is what law of supply states. Law of supply states that if the prices of a commodity increases, the quantity supplies also increases. And if the prices of a commodity decreases, the quantity supply also decreases, right? Never ever as a shopkeeper you will like to sell a product which is at a low rate, and the persons are coming one by one and asking you and demanding you that product, because you know it is underrated and you will be earning less of commission or the profit. So law of supply is that's why known as that it is an inverse law to the demand. That means when we say that the prices are high, quantity demand decreases, and if the prices are low, quantity demand increases. So it is actually inverse or opposite to your supply, right? Because we study the demand from the point of view of the customers, individuals like you and me, when we are buying the commodities. And when we study the law of supply, we study it from the point of view of the suppliers, the businessmen, right? The entrepreneurs or the shopkeepers, the retailers, the wholesalers, right? So we will assume now ourselves as one of those suppliers, and we will study the law of supply. So definitely you will like to supply more of goods when the prices are high so that you can earn more, and you will like to supply less when the prices are down or low so that you can cover up your losses which you might be incurring. So there always exists a direct relationship between your quantity supplies and prices of the commodity, right? So if one increases, the another will also increase, and vice versa. But again, this law of supply applies only and only when we have other factors as constant. That means ether paribus, right? So ether paribus applies in law of supply also. The other factors which affects the supply, they are constant, right? So that is why we say when the other things are constant, if prices increases, quantity supply also increases. If prices decreases, quantity supply also decreases. So our supply curve is actually a graphical presentation of our law of supply. And this law of supply's curve, that means our supply curve always is upward towards the right side. Right, it is towards the right direction, and that too upward. If you remember our law of demands curve, that means our demand curve was downward sloping, but our supply curve will be upward sloping. So the difference over here between our demand curve and supply curve. So demand curves look like this, whereas supply curves look like this, upward sloping towards the right. See, this is how our supply curves look like. On our x-axis, we have quantity supplied, and on y-axis, we have prices of our commodity. And as and when our prices will rise, we will also like to supply more and more of our goods, and that is why our supply curve is upward sloping, that too towards the right direction. So what are the assumptions of law of supply? The first assumption of our law of supply is that the input costs remain unchanged. So what do we mean by the input cost? That is the cost of production of our commodity. The raw materials, the machinery, the capital cost, the labor cost, all the costs which are a part of your cost of production, they are your input cost. And when we are understanding the law of supply, we assume it that our input cost is same, constant, it will not change. And it is an assumption. Why? Because as and when you will increase your supply, right, you will earn more and more of money. And once you earn good amount of money, you will like to reinvest that money in your business and will like to increase your quantity of production. So for that, you will increase your inputs, right? That means you'll be increasing your raw material consumption, your labor cost will also increase, you will might buy a new machinery. But right now we are assuming that we are not doing such things. Our input cost is constant, is same, and now we study our law of supply. That means if prices increases, we increase our quantity supply, and if prices decreases, we decrease our quantity supply. The another assumption is that technological methods remains same. So we assume that the technology, the process in which we were producing our goods and goods will be always same. If we were following a process of A, B, C, it will be in that flow only. It will not be A, D, C, B, or it will not be A, D, B, C. It will also be A, B, C, D. We will not change our technological method or the production process. It will be same, it will be constant, and there will be no fluctuation because of these changes in our supply, right? So what basically we know that technological changes are always there, and technology keeps on changing, right? And every businessman likes to have the advanced version technology with them so that their cost can reduce. But we are assuming over here that we are not going to change our technological method. It will remain same, and then we study our law of supply. The third assumption for our law of supply is prices of our related goods are also constant. They will not change. So again, a quick recap. What are the related goods? Related goods are again can be your complementary goods or your substitute goods. So both these categories of the goods, the complementary and substitute, their prices are also not changing. This is also one of the common assumptions we can say which we find in our law of supply and in our law of demand, because we have studied this assumption in our law of demand also, where we assumed that the prices of related good is also same constant, that will also not change. So in supply also we believe that there is no changes in the prices of our related goods. The another assumption is that there will be no change in transportation cost. So we assume that our transport cost to bring our input from market to our production house, and after manufacturing just transporting them from our production house or from our warehouses to the shops, that cost, that transportation cost will also not change. Again, it is one of the biggest assumptions we are taking, because the transportation contracts or the prices are dependent on the rates of the petrol, and the petrol prices fluctuates, and once they get fluctuate, our overall transportation cost also changes. But we assume over here that there is no such changes in our transportation cost. Then comes the another assumption, which is your government policies are not changed. Right? So we assume that there is no change in the government rules, regulations, policies. They are all same. The government policies are as same as they were, and there is no changes in any of the taxation policies. Everything is same, steady, constant. Because the moment the taxation changes, the moment there is a change in the government policies, our prices, our supplies get affected. So we assume that there is no such changes which will be there from the government side. And one of the another assumptions of our law of supply is that no anticipation of prices by the sellers. Right? So in law of supply also, we assume that the sellers, that means us, the sellers, the shopkeepers, we are also not going to anticipate any of the prices in upcoming future. Right? If you remember, in law of demand, we had an assumption which states that no anticipation of the prices from the buyers, from the customers. But over here, we are saying, we are assuming that there is no anticipation of the future prices by the suppliers. Now, let us just assume that there is going to be the changes. We'll just assume that why we are saying that there is no anticipation of prices. So let us just understand that if today the price of my product is 10 and I am supplying 100 units, and in future if I'm predicting that my prices will go to 11, right, don't you think that I will like to sell more when the prices will go to 11? And right now if someone will come to me and ask, I will say, no, I don't have the product. Right? Because I might wait for that time when the prices of my product will be high, and then I will sell more. Right? And this is how somewhere down the line the black marketing works. Right? So they actually, the wholesalers and all, they used to stock up, they used to lock out their warehouses and say that the product is not there. When the prices used to rise, or it used to be a good hike in the price rates, at that time the suppliers used to supply the goods. Right? So this is one of the assumptions which we take, that the suppliers or the sellers don't anticipate, because the moment the anticipation process starts, the today's supplies get affected. So we don't want that, because we want to understand the relationship between the quantity, supply and the prices of our product at present, not just because of the prices which will be there in our upcoming market. Right? So for that's why we say that the anticipations from the sellers will be nil, zero. no anticipation, there is no changes in future, the same prices will exist. The another assumption is the level of foreign trade will also be constant or same. There will be no change because the foreign trade refers to the exports and imports. And for the law of supply to hold true, it is assumed that there is no change in the level of foreign trade. And the last assumption is that no change in climatical conditions. So again, this is one of a very common point of the assumption for the both the law of demand and for the supply, that we assume that there is no change in the climatic conditions. Like there will be no natural calamities like landslides, floods, droughts. It will be same because the moment there is a climatic change or unnatural calamities or natural calamities which take place, the prices effects and the supplies also get effect. So we assume that there is no such changes. Everything is good, everything is normal, and then we study the law of supply. So now let us just understand what do we mean by shift in supply versus movement along the supply curve. Right. These are similar to what we studied in shift in demand versus movement along the demand curve. The concepts are same, but the only change is that word demand is being interchanged with the word supply. So supply refers to a schedule of quantities a supplier is willing to sell per unit at a time of various prices and other things are constant. Right? And now we will study what do we mean by our shift in supply. And before that, let us just first understand what is quantity supply. So quantity supply refers to those specific amount of the supplies at a specific prices. So let me just take an example. Let us just assume the price of the commodity is 10 and you are supplying 100 units. So when we understand the supply at a specific level, right, at a specific price, that is what? That is your quantity supply. At the rate of 10, your quantity which you want to supply is 100 unit. So this is your quantity supply. Whereas your supply means all those quantities which you will like to sell at different rates, right? So these entire schedule where the different prices and their different quantity supplies are written down, are given to you, is known as supply. But the quantity supply is that specific amount of price versus the specific quantity which you will like to supply. So your quantity supply is 100 at the level of 10. Your quantity supply is 80 at the level of 9 rupees. Your quantity supply is 70 at the rate of 8. But whereas your supply is your 180 and 70. Right? So supply again is a big concept, same like your demand, and quantity supply is just like your quantity demand. Right? So now let us just see what do we mean by the movement along the supply curve. When we say that our quantity supply has increased or decreased because of the changes in the prices, right? So let us just assume that it is 15, 20, 25, 125, 1500, and right. So let us just assume that this is our base level And when, because of the increase in the prices, our supply also increases, and that is why from point A you are shifting or moving, you are moving to point B. This movement is known as movement in quantity supply. So the movement in quantity supply is because of the changes in price of your own product, right? So when there is an increase or decrease in the prices, your quantity supply also increases or decreases, and that is what is known as your movement in quantity supply, right? So this is how your movement in quantity supply looks like. Let us just see the another presentation. So this is your point A, and it shifts, it moves when there is a change in prices. So this is change in quantity supply, a movement along the curve, right? So now what do we mean by the shift? So this is what we mean by shift, that there is a shift in supply when your prices are not changing, but still there are some other factors which are affecting your quantity supply. So the shift in supply is because of the other factors which are there in the market, and they are affecting your quantity supply. Whereas movement in supply means there is a shift or there is a movement in your quantity supply because of the changes in the prices of your own good. So shift means you have shifted from your supply curve 0 to supply curve 1, right? So there is a different line which you are drawing. So now let us just see what are the factors which affect the supply. So the factors which affect the supply is the prices of the input used in the production, technology, suppliers' expectations, tax and subsidies, right? So these are the factors which affect the supply. And these are the all factors which we assume in the law of supply to be same. Remember, we have discussed these all right now. These all are the same factors which we assume to be same, constant when we study our law of supply. Resources factors, because the moment your raw material changes, your overall cost changes, your supply will be affected. If there is an increase in the prices in the raw material, your supply will get effect, right? So we have a factor named resources prices which affects our supply. Same for the technology and productivity, right? If the technology changes, our supplies will change. If we have an advanced version technology, we will like to produce more and we like to sell more and more of goods, so our supplies will also increase. Expectations of the producers, that means the expectation of the suppliers. If we predict that in future the prices will increase, so our supplies will also get affect at present, because I will like to sell more and more of goods when the prices are high so that I can earn more of profits. Number of producers, if there are more and more of producers, there is going to be tough competition, and this is how our supplies will get affect. More of the suppliers, the more will be the supplies, right? Because I will like to have a tough competition. I will not like that this customer goes to some other supplier and buy the product. I like that customer come to me and buy the product from my shop. And the last factor is the prices of related goods and services, right? So in the law of supply, we assume that the prices of your complementary goods, the prices of your subsidy goods, they all are same and constant because they affect your supply, and they are the factors which affect the shift of supply. So now let us just understand, what do we mean by market supply curve? So market supply curve is derived by the horizontally adding the individual supply curves of the suppliers. So let us just see. how the market supply schedule look like and individual supply schedule. So when I write or when I draw table in which I have different quantity levels at different prices at which Anna will like to supply. And I'm only studying about Anna's, that means it is an individual supplies. But when I study about the Anna's, Barley, Charlie, and then add all these Anna, Barley, Charlie, right? And get my market supply. See, can you see the horizontal addition over here for the market supplies? 0 plus 0 plus 0 is 0, 1 plus 0 plus 0 is 1, 2 plus 1 plus 0 is 3, 3 plus 2 plus 0 is 5, 4 plus 3 plus 0 is 7, and the last one, if we see 8 plus 7 plus 2 is your 15. So this market supply is the horizontal summation of all the individual supplies of the market. So let us just draw the individual supply curve and the market supply curve. So quantity supplies on our x-axis, prices on our y-axis, and this is our individual supply curve for Anna, let's suppose, to continue that schedule. This will be for Barley and then Charlie, right? And if I add them up and draw the supply curve, let's say the green one, so this is my market supply curve. So these all are upward sloping, and this is how our individual market supply curves looks like, right? So individually, when you draw the schedule and plot them on the graph, it is your individual market curves. And if you do it for the market level where you add all them, then it is your supply curve at the market level. So now let us just understand the exceptions to the law of supply. The first exception is the future expectations. If the expectation of the prices will fall in the future is there, then the law of supply will not be hold to, because we will like to take the advantage of this situation, and a supplier will sell more even if the prices are low. So that is why it is one of the exception, that the future expected prices. However, if they expected the prices to rise in the future, they will reduce the supply of the commodity in order to supply more at the higher prices. So it is a bit like a contradictory. But when the prices will be low in the future, you will like to sell more right now because the prices are high in comparison. So you will like to make more and more of supplies when the price expectation in future is less or low. The another exception is the agriculture goods. For the agriculture goods also, the law of supply does not apply, right? Because it is totally dependent on the climatical conditions. So that is why the law of supply in the agriculture goods does not apply. Then the perishable goods. In the case of the perishable goods like your fruits, vegetables, which have a very short shelf life of existence, they will also be the case of the exception of the law of supply, right? Because sellers will like to sell their product more even if the price is falling, just because you cannot hold those commodities for a longer period of time with you, because they will get damaged very soon. So that is why perishable goods are also one of the exceptions to the law of supply. Then another exception is your rare articles. Rare articles are again an exception to your law. Your artistic goods, your precious art items, diamond and all, they all are your rare articles. And over here also, your law of supply does not apply, right? Because supply of rare articles, like take an example of Mona Lisa painting, cannot be increased even if the prices are high, because you have one only original article with you. You cannot have the duplicates of that same commodity. So that's why rare articles are also a limitation and exception. Then come for the backward countries. The another exception is the backward countries. In the economically backward countries, production and supply cannot be increased with rise in the prices due to the shortage of resources. So over here also, law of supply cannot be taken into the consideration. So this is also one of the exceptions to our law of supply. So let us just have a quick recap of what we have studied today. So we have studied supply. We understood the law of supply. We understood how your supply curves look like. We understood the assumptions. Then we saw the movement and shift in the supply curves. Then the factors affecting the supply, the factors affecting the shift in supply curves. These are the very important 5 factors which plays a very vital role in the shift of supply curve, because shift in supply is that situation where your prices are same, constant, but still there is an increase in quantity supplies. So why there is an increase in quantity supply or decrease in quantity supply is because of these 5 factors. It can be the resources prices, it can be the technology and productivity, your expectations of the producers in future, number of suppliers, the prices of your related goods and services. So they all affect the supply, and that is why when even your prices are same, constant, you see that another supply curve is drawn up, and because there is because of these factors, your quantity supply also changes. Then we understood the concept of the market supply, and we saw the market supply schedule, and we even draw the market supply curve. And now let's just have a quick recap of what we have studied today with the help of 10 MCQs. So this is one of the very good ways to just see what we have studied and check and self-evaluate our learning. So these are the first 2 questions. Select the correct option as per your learning. Question number 3 and question number 4. They are very easy and basic. So understanding these small MCQs will also help you to clarify few of the doubts which we might be having while we were discussing the topic. So they will be a very great way to help you out to clarify your concepts. So please do solve these MCQs, your MCQ 5 and 6. Question number 7 and 8. Nine and 10. The last 2 MCQs for today's lecture video. So now let's check your performance. These are the correct answer. Question number 1, the correct option is option number D. For question number 2, 3, 4, and 5, your correct option is A. For question number 6, the correct option is C. Question number 7, it's B. Question 8, it's C. Question 9 also, the correct option is C. And again, for question number 10, the correct option is option A. I do hope you have scored good score in this self-evaluation test with the help of MCQs. And please recap the concept of supply and study the materials, read, make your notes, draw neatly all the schedules and the graphs, understand it, have your notes ready with you before the examination so that you just have to recap on the concept and you are good to go for the exams. So all the best, and thank you for watching this video lecture. Thank you and happy learning.